It is sunny and cold out there, but it should be a fairly quiet evening. We will see a few clouds start to come in overnight tonight. Our low temperature 20 in Sioux Falls. Aberdeen colder at 6. Pierre breezy. Southeast wind at 14. At Rapid City 27 degrees. Tomorrow is going to be breezy and really warm in Sioux Falls. We're talking 52. Aberdeen 35. Pierre breezy 37. And 58 in Rapid City. But tomorrow evening, Sioux Falls, southeastern Carolina, we could see rain, could see thunderstorms. That'll all change to snow overnight tomorrow. Might even see some severe weather and a winter storm coming our way for Friday. Details of all that coming up. KELOLAND News starts now.
Live from KELOLAND Media Group, KELOLAND News first at 4.
Democrats are turning up the pressure to tighten gun safety regulations following this week's deadly school shooting in Nashville.
Plus, we check out the flood preparations happening in Watertown this week in case the Big Sioux River floods this spring.
And we are learning new details about why the Brookings school superintendent recently resigned. Good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in to First at 4. I'm Don Jorgensen.
And I'm Kelly Volk. We're starting to learn more details about some of the victims in Monday's deadly mass shooting in Nashville. Details from the rich, full lives of the 3 adults killed Monday at the Nashville Elementary School have quickly emerged.
The 3 children who died at the Covenant School were Hallie Scruggs, Evelyn Dykehouse, and William Kinney. Evelyn was described as the family's shining light on the GoFundMe page. A woman who identified herself as Hallie's aunt wrote a Facebook that Hallie was incredibly smart and feisty enough to keep up with her brothers.
The adults who died were Catherine Kuntz, the head of the school, Mike Hill, a custodian, and Cynthia Peak, a substitute teacher.
Pressure is mounting on Congress now to tighten gun safety regulations following the latest school shooting.
KELOLAND News Washington, D.C. correspondent Jesse Turner reports on where lawmakers' efforts stand.
There are calls for action from both parties, but they still can't agree on what specifically to target.
I'm ready for a world where classrooms aren't killing fields.
Following the nation's latest school mass shooting, this group of Democrats, many of them parents of school-aged children, rallied on the steps of the U.S. Capitol Wednesday to end gun violence.
I'm ready to fight like a mother to keep you safe.
Michigan Congresswoman Hillary Scholten and Massachusetts Congresswoman Katherine Clark support President Joe Biden's call for a federal assault weapons ban.
The least the MAGA majority can do is have the courage to show parents where they stand.
And Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey and Michigan Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin reintroduced legislation Wednesday to boost the CDC's firearm safety and gun violence prevention research.
To guide evidence-backed, data-driven solutions that will help save lives.
This should not be a partisan or divisive issue.
But Republicans prefer other ways to combat gun violence.
The way to do this is to harden the schools.
Arkansas Congressman Bruce Westerman and Georgia Congressman Drew Ferguson want to focus on the perpetrators, not their weapons.
If you're evil and you're going to do harm, you'll do it with a gun, you'll do it with a car, you'll do it with a knife, you'll do it with a brick.
And Alabama Congressman Jerry Carl said it's still too soon to be debating solutions.
The biggest thing we can do right now is be still and be quiet. We have to give the families time to mourn.
And First Lady Jill Biden will attend a candlelight vigil tonight in Nashville for the shooting victims and their community. In Washington, I'm Jessie Tenor.
Well, back here in South Dakota, muddy gravel roads are making for some tough driving conditions in rural areas of the state. KELOLAND's Perry Groten spoke with one group of workers that could be hampered by the mud. He has a preview of the story he's working on for 6.
Snow is still piled high along gravel roads throughout Minnehaha County. The snow here towers about 8 feet high. And as you can see, the snow is filling the ditches. That means when that snow melts this spring, it's not going to have anywhere to go except onto the roadway. And that's going to create some treacherous driving conditions for everyone, including local volunteer fire departments. Bad roads like this can slow response time for firefighters responding to an emergency. We'll find out how they adapt to these conditions and what you can do to help them reach their destinations coming up tonight on KELOLAND News.
All right, thanks a lot, Perry. Sounds like the roads are probably going to get worse before they get better, though.
Yeah, I don't think this weather headed our way is going to help, Megan.
Probably not, Kelly. We have a wide mix of things, so it feels more like a South Dakota spring. This morning, we broke some records on cold temperatures in the Northeast, including Aberdeen, who now sits at 19 degrees. But this morning, 14 below. Sisseton hit 6 below. Both of those records were set back in 1969. Now, our temperatures today are much below average in the teens, 20s, and low 30s. Looks like Pine Ridge finally hit 40. But we will continue those cold temperatures tonight in the single digits, teens, and even a few 20s with partly cloudy skies. But tomorrow, the heat returns. 52 in Sioux Falls, 58 in Rapid City. Only 35, though, in Aberdeen. Those winds do pick up out of the southeast. And Sioux Falls and southeastern KELOLAND could even see some severe weather tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. Hail and damaging winds possible in this marginal risk in the area in green. That also includes Mitchell and Yankton and Brookings. And as well as the hail and the strong winds, we could see excessive rainfall nearing an inch per hour in those areas in green. That does include Sioux Falls and Yankton. That's Thursday evening through Friday morning as well. And switching gears again on Friday, we have a winter storm watch in the area in yellow, where we could see heavy snow, strong winds, which would be blizzard-like conditions, and even some icing possible through Aberdeen and Watertown. But the weekend will quiet down just a little bit and warm back up. We'll have more details in just a little bit.
All right, thanks a lot, Megan. 5 more South Dakotans who had COVID-19 have died, according to this week's update from the state health department. The pandemic started 3 years ago, and since then, more than 3,200 South Dakotans have died. Health officials confirmed about 600 new cases over the last week. There are 355 South Dakotans currently infected with the virus, which is down from last week. And right now, there are 41 coronavirus patients in South Dakota hospitals.
A Minnesota nuclear power plant says it fixed a radioactive leak, but the process killed hundreds of fish. The XCEL Energy Monticello nuclear generating plant sits close to the Mississippi River. The utility company started powering it down on Friday, which cooled the surrounding water. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency says the temperature change killed about 230 fish. The plant went offline so crews could fix a leak that spilled 400,000 gallons of contaminated water late last year. XCEL Energy says the plant will be returned to service in the next week. The company says there's no threat to the public or environment.
A proposal is moving forward in the Iowa Capitol to add limits to who can receive SNAP benefits. If the bill becomes law, Iowans would have to prove their net worth is less than $15,000 to receive the benefits. One family car, as well as up to $10,000 of a second car, are exempt from that test. The bill would also create an income cap of 160% of the federal poverty level, which is about $48,000 for a family of 4. Democrats fear that the bill would kick people off the program who need it. House Republicans say that it isn't designed to drop benefits for individuals, but to make sure that the system is not abused.
The intent of the bill is to make sure that everyone on the system is eligible for the benefits. I mean, that's just being good stewards of the taxpayer dollar. But if people need that safety net, we want to make sure they're getting it too. So it's just verifying eligibility and making sure that people who are eligible for benefits are getting them, and then people who aren't are not using the taxpayer dollar wrong.
The bill would also create a 20-hour per week work requirement for able-bodied people to receive benefits or participate in job training. Congress is one step closer to removing a measure that started in 2003 during the invasion of Iraq.
Plus, how the CEO of Starbucks is trying to defend the coffee chain in light of complaints from unions. You're watching First at 4 on KELOLAND News.